All right. Morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Do you like the setup, by the way? Did you see the screen? What's around the screen?
I don't see anything. I don't see much around the screen. So
You
I
don't see
see
coaching. You don't see coaching, coffee, and conversations at the
I see
top.
the banner. Yes, I
You
do.
see the QR code. You see
Uh,
the logos. I'm learning
yes,
some stuff.
it looks
How
good.
to make it look, semi-professional. Um, and
You're
actually, I
doing
just want to let you
great.
know that QR
I just
code.
have to show up. That's what I love.
No. Hey, you trust me. You're doing more than just showing up. I guarantee that. But that QR code in the top corner, that links to our webpage that has our workshops on it right now. So
Awesome.
if you hold up your phone to it with your camera on, it'll bring up a link. You click on the link, it'll take you straight to our workshop page, and you can sign up for any of our upcoming workshops. So that's cool. I'm excited about that.
Wow.
Yeah. However, there's zero descriptor for these next two workshops that are coming. The only thing accurate on there is one title and the dates and the cost. That's it. That's all that's good so far. Karen, we're going to have to talk about what's going in there. But other than that, it's bit by bit, piece by piece. The other thing I want to just touch on quickly before we check in is that I sent out an email this week saying, hey, every week we're going to show up and we're going to talk at 10 o'clock. And we're already not at 10 o'clock. So what I want to clarify about is our intention to come together and to speak every week. And our intention is to show up at 10 o'clock each week. However, things happen, life happens. And in this scenario, you're like, yeah, Ian, I got to go pick up my new car. So can we push it an hour? So our intention is to show up and talk every week. And the time will be around this time. But life happens.
It does. Ian, I just realized I may not have my laptop plugged in, so I'm going to back up. So I was almost 100% prepared, but I better plug it in case my power goes.
It's all good.
Oh,
It's
no,
all
I
good.
do have it in. Okay.
So
As
if you're
Ian
joining us
said,
live,
I picked up a new car.
if you're joining us live, feel free to say hi in the chat. I'm actually curious to see what actually happens if somebody can do that and say hi. If you have questions, always ask questions, and we'll see if we can work them into what we've got going on. But let's start with a little quick check-in. How are you doing?
I'm having a good day. I picked up as I said, we got a new vehicle, a used new vehicle, and so we are leaving. Well, we still have our 2016 Jetta with 420,000 kilometers on it. That's chugging away, and then now we have a new one because we're getting a little worried about kind of getting caught with our Jetta saying goodbye to us and not having something to replace it. So bit of a relief off of my shoulders. That's been playing in my hamster wheel for a while.
Cool. So you've been on your hamster wheel a little bit this week also?
How about you, Ian?
Yeah, I had a great weekend. I did my first CrossFit competition in a year, and it was a lot of fun. We won every event. So yeah, we really
Wow,
we actually worked way harder. We actually worked harder than we needed to work. But every particular event that we did was an AMRAP, which means you have to do as many rounds and repetitions as you can. But because we didn't know who we were actually against in the field, we just had to go hard and see what happened. And then you see the scores after, you're like, oh, we did 2 rounds more than everybody else. We could have stopped, we could have slowed down, we could have taken it easy, but no. Maybe it was better off, so we didn't let off the gas, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's actually the impetus for why I wanted to talk about our topic today. Let me pull up the banner. I can't skip this stuff. Your thoughts are like a bad neighborhood. Never go there alone. And the reason I wanted to talk about this was the reason why I wanted to talk about it, but really, I think this is going on in my head all the time. So this weekend, getting ready for CrossFit, I wanted to have a really good night's sleep, eat well the night before, have all my stuff packed and ready so that, in the morning I'm good to go, I'm refreshed, and I'm excited. I went to bed at 8:30. I was still awake in bed at 11:30 when my wife came home with the kids, and I'm just pretending to be asleep because I don't want to like interact with people, because if I interact, I'm going to be more awake than I already am. I'm already mad that I'm still awake. She fell asleep before I did. And the reason why I was thinking about this topic was I really wish I could have had a conversation with somebody to like stop thinking about all the things that I was thinking about. But when I thought about this isn't just happening in a one shot deal. I think this is kind of running in the background of my head all the time. Getting ready for today. What's the topic going to be? Is it going to be a good enough topic? Is it going to be relevant enough for everybody else? Is it going to be a good jumping off point for Karen? What's Karen going to think if I don't have a good story? What other people are going to think if the story's not good? But what I noticed was there's a theme to my thoughts. There's either I'm not prepared enough, I'm not good enough, what will others think, and a bunch of what ifs. And I can pair that with any project I've got going on at home, or conversation that I'm going to have with somebody, or meeting or evaluation that's upcoming. It's always the same themes. And I'm stuck in here, often way too much.
There's a book by John Kabat-Zinn that says, wherever you go, there you are. I felt like you were starting to notice how you show up. Wherever you go, there you are. And that's actually really important, to notice your pattern. The first step is to be aware of what is your thought patterns? How is it all manifest? And what's behind all of that? Because we have things that have been downloaded into us that we don't even know. And so at your level, where you're starting to go, okay, I'm going to pay attention, which is why we pick topics like this. Because if you think we're, giving a sense of that to others, it regrounds us in, wow, it's in us. This habit of the cycle, what shows up, where is it that I see my pattern?
Yeah, I mean, awareness is such a big key to this. And I often don't even catch myself in it until I'm way deep. Or if I'm doing something like this where I'm analyzing why it is that, like where I'm at and why I'm there. Normally this is more of like an unconscious spiral that I get into. But it's not until I stop and ask myself, why am I here? Why is this important to me? Like some kind of like standard coaching questions. I can sometimes break it a little bit, but it's way more helpful, I think, to have conversations with other people to hear their questions. Like the whole like debunking process of the stuff that's going through your head, a lot of the assessments. So like if I'm thinking about this weekend, I know I had a bunch of thoughts about my partner, and she's super fit and she's young, and I'm like, oh, am I going to be able to keep up with her? Like, is she going to regret having like signed up with me? What if I don't? What if we don't win? I don't know. Whatever. That could have been. It's a bunch of stuff. But if I said those out loud, would I believe them? Would they mean the same thing? Or would they have a different resonance when I hear them out loud?
Or even if you shared them with the person that you want to serve, which was your partner. Mm-hmm. I just need to get this out of my head and say it out loud to them, so that you talk about when we do it with others. This idea that I just want to let you know where I'm at right now and why I want to make sure that I'm contributing. Can you imagine what that conversation could have been, if you allowed yourself permission to either say it out loud to that person or someone that you really trust. Because I think what happens is that we start to understand and uncover. You said, why is it important to me? I
Oh, you're
love that
breaking up.
question.
I
And
want
I
you to
think it
repeat. I want you to
serves
repeat
you
that
in
because you
many
broke up for a
ways.
second, Karen.
It has Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm at my daughter's house, and I'm wondering if the Wi-Fi is a little iffy here. You know me
Maybe
and
a touch.
that.
Maybe a
Let me
touch.
just see if I
Keep
can.
going.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So I just said it's interesting because like saying it out loud to that other person or to someone else, because it serves you in some way. This way that you think about things and care about things and prepare for things, how does it serve you? Because it's there for a reason. And then the second question is, how is it getting in my way right now? Because it doesn't always serve us in every situation, but it's our habitual way. And it was created for good intentions. So it's to dissect it, saying, how is this serving me? And make sure you name that so you can keep.
Yeah, so I think what you're talking about there is, does it serve me? And the origin of the reason why you behave the way you behave is often like a protective mechanism of some sort, right? So when I think of, getting ready for today, being prepared, I have had this habitual way of being around being prepared so that I don't look dumb, right? Being coming from my background, if anybody knows of being dyslexic and struggling with language and that kind of thing, I was always told, to try harder, to, basically try harder. And when I did that, there was only so much I could do with my limitations at the time. But if I put in as much effort as possible, maybe I could save myself some embarrassment. So I've carried that through, even though I know I'm more prepared now than I ever have been. And normally when I show up as me, I'm enough anyways. I still have that desire to not want to screw up or not want to look bad. So I maybe overanalyze and overdo it in the getting ready for. But when I can stop myself and hear it out loud, sometimes it short circuits that behavior. I brought the visual. Do you want me to bring it up, Karen?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
If it works for now, yeah. I think it ties into kind of visually helping us see the pattern. So I just want to say, when you talk about how you feel and why you're doing it and your history, a lot of what you say, I feel the same way. And the way it was downloaded in me was very different than yours. But I can say, yeah, me too, me too, me too. And I would be surprised if many of us don't have that cycle of the internal chatter and worry and concern and before we present ourselves in life. So it's starting to be able to name your pattern and honor it and use it for what purpose it's intended to. It does serve you to a certain degree, but what would you shift? And this is an interesting part about coaching is I remember the first time I was coached by Paul Lefebvre, who was my coach that trained me in a lot of my work. One of his questions was, what of your wonderful qualities is getting in your way right now? So often we look at the other side where we need to grow, get better. Often our strength, our go-to, our capacity, the one we use that people love and honor, it gets in our way. And when he asked me that question that day, it actually, I couldn't even answer it because I'd never been asked that question. I said, I'm going to have to think about that and take stock of what's getting in my way. That's my gift. Wasn't that a curious thing to get around?
So when you went there with Paul, because I've only had a couple of interactions with Paul, but I spent like almost a full afternoon with him one day. He asked me something similar because the topic of dyslexia came up, And he told me something like, you don't have to, like, it's part of you. Oh, what did he say? He said you can bring it with you, but it doesn't have to like get in your way. So like, yes, it's a part of your history, and yes, it's there, but it's not necessarily a black and white, good and bad thing. It's how does it serve me versus how does it not serve me? And just having the possibility to see it from a different perspective opened me up to like owning it and being okay with it, but also knowing that there's value there. Pretty wise guy, that Paul LaFave guy.
He sure is.
Now, you suggested this particular visual. I had to dig deep to find this. I thought I could just quickly run through it, and then you can speak into it a little deeper, if that makes sense. Okay, so when Karen and I first came up with this visual, she hated it. She absolutely hated it because I used kind of like a mechanical mind to make this come out. So this was my for me, whatever, it was like a circuitry thing, right? Like you flip the switch on, this kind of sequence of events takes place. So something happens at the top, that's like the light switch, and then the current goes through to the right, so clockwise. So something happens, your body feels something, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Then once that sensation takes place, you have like a thought that is associated with that that sensation, good, bad, or indifferent. And then it triggers you emotion or meaning based on the thought that you just had. And then you have your conditioned response to that. Could be from a past event that looked, smelt, or felt like that thing that just happened. And then you have some sort of behavior, action, reaction that you outwardly do, whether it's taking action or not taking action, which is also an action. And then I don't remember why resistance was in this. Do you recall why we put resistance in there? Karen, do you remember why we put resistance in there?
Because when we're cycling in, when we're starting to do this, you're going to wanting to change something. You know it's not working. So you'll get tightness and you'll start to, and you'll push. You'll do one of two things. You'll push your action forward because it's the one I know and it's right, or you'll pull in. And that's a clue that you need to create some pause to start to say, what is this I'm doing? How am I reacting to this? Because what this circle is talking about when we're doing work is instead of being in reaction mode, we want to be in response mode. So it's normal to have this fast reaction. And by the way, I need to clear it up. I did fall in love with it, Ian. But I was which was perfect because I was having my cycle of reaction, immediate reaction. And then as we talked about it and started to, navigate it, I fell in love with it. So my response shifted and it made sense to me. But I literally lived this cycle with you in the moment. And I mean, it was fast. I think I said I don't like this at all. As it happens when we're getting ready for doing a workshop, we navigate this whole thing. And then I realized, my gosh, I just showed how this works with you. And then as we start to relate to it and give it a sense of what it was about and its purpose, it made perfect sense to me. And the visual really made sense to me. So I lived that model. And so to notice resistance at the very beginning, my automatic response was hate it. I think I used those two words.
I'm pretty sure.
And then I at the end fell in love with it. So just to act when we do visuals, which are helpful, for us to see our words or a tool or an awareness we're creating for our participants, that it's in all of us, including us. We're not excluded from any of these human behaviors and interactions and ways of being. It's how do we use this and shift from this automatic reaction or feeling responsible that we have to do something to building our capacity to be able to respond And for others, when they have something they want to mobilize, to slow down and say, okay, this pattern's not working. So what's the response I need to create? And that's where they can reshape this and put some words to it, talk about the emotions that they want to have around it, some of the steps they want to take, and the actions they want to create. So it's all about creating alignment in this current situation. What am I keeping and what needs to shift so I can contribute the way I want to contribute or get the best possible result I'm trying to create for myself or for others.
Cool. Do you want to speak into the bottom of this, the path to making shift happen? We have awareness, growth, and long-term sustainable change.
Right. So this is the model of why we call it a practice, is that the first, you can't change. We talked about, you got to notice your pattern first. We are often doing this automatically without any awareness. So creating the practice to say, what are some of my habits, and noticing them. So no judgment, good or bad, but start to capture them so that you start to see. Ian gave some really good examples of how this way of being crossed many elements of his life. So that's the first part. And then the next piece, which is, can you give me that word because I can't see it clearly?
Growth.
Growth. So that's where in the coaching world or in any kind of world or in partnerships, what do I want to change? What are some of the things I want to stop doing? And what do I notice I need to do more of? I'm not really good at it yet, but I'm aware that Karen Bonner needed to practice not speaking so much if she was going to be good in her coaching work, and spend some time in being really present and listening to the other person, getting into my body. See the difference. When I started, I was, I thought I was so good because I had the verbiage nailed down. But my real work, my real growth in that field of coaching that I wanted to get better at was not there. It was actually remember the quality that people loved about me? It was getting in the way. So that growth, you identify the areas you want to grow, and then you practice and practice and practice. And that's what happens. It gets embodied. And over time, it becomes your new pattern. But it takes time. It's like going to the gym, committing to your goals. It's not an overnight process, but you are intentionally wanting to shift how you respond.
And it takes that awareness oftentimes in order to be able to break that cycle, to flip the switch, if you will, to seeing it in a different way, to trying on a different way of being so that you can embody that change. That's cool. I'm glad you brought up that visual as a jumping off point for today's conversation. Whether or not people resonate with the electrical metaphor or not, it's something for us to speak into, right? I'm curious, just at the topic title, though, the thoughts are like a bad neighborhood, never go there alone. Is there like an origin story for you, like of where this came from? That like, because we use this in almost every workshop we've ever done, but I don't know if I've ever found out from you if there's like a reason for being.
Well, I will say it's a statement, another tagline of Paul's. Your thoughts are like a bad neighborhood, don't go there alone. And where we attached it, and it's a really big one, is working with complaints. Mm. That's where we often have a real frustration cycle going on in our heads. And we're very frustrated about a situation. And we may be, expressing our frustration to our partners, to our friends, but we're often blowing off steam. And because the advice-giving person at the other end typically wants to make you feel better, they'll start to say, well, I can relate to that, or, and they'll start to give you advice. In the coaching world, we actually want you to blow it all out. Like, get it all out of your head and start to see what your story is. What are you connected to? What do you really want to make happen? What do you want to do about this? This has a lot of energy inside of you. So it allows people to kind of sit with their hamster wheel often. We often are holding back our complaints because we we feel like we're not a very good person. So being able to get it off of your, I want to say your chest, but in some ways it is both your head and out of your body. It's interesting. I got to get something off my chest as a metaphor. We're often releasing a lot of energy. And what coaching does, if you listen to that and start to ask questions, why is this important to you? What do you want to make happen? And sometimes even through the coaching conversation, people will say, I don't want to do anything about this right now. This is too big. It's exhausting me, but just getting it off my chest, I already feel better. And so then you can move into, so how are you going to take care of yourself? Then if you're not going to do anything, you can shift the topic from the complaint to, okay, you're not ready. How are you going to take care of yourself? Mm-hmm. And so they walk away, maybe not with an action, which is what we want around the topic, but they have a way to take care of themselves. And in many situations when I'm coaching, they'll be like a non-negotiable area they don't want to talk about or do anything about because it just feels too big, too hard, too complicated. And they park it. But when you walk them through it like that and give them permission to, and say, okay, how are you going to take care of yourself? I have seen more often than not, as they start to work on their topic, other parts of the topic, they say, I'm ready to come back to the hard one. Which is why I love not giving advice, because if I worked on that one, that's what they need to do, they wouldn't have been ready. That's where it came from. So your thoughts are like a bad neighborhood. It's so powerful when you can have a space to get it all out without being interrupted and without being told what to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That safe space, there's something really incredible about when you're able to create that space to allow that stuff to come out in a non-judgmental, it's like a container just to hold the stuff. And they'll decide at the end of the day what they want to do with it. If they want to do anything with it right now, if they want to stuff it in the corner for the next little while, it's their journey, right? And who are we to tell them what to do and when to do it and how to do it? So I love this topic in general because it just gives permission to get stuff out of your head, debunk it, hear it out loud, even decide for yourself if that whatever you've heard out loud is now a thing or not. Does that make sense? And then to let it go. Cool.
I used to use a metaphor that it was like a big ball of string all around, and inside is really what's there that you want to pay attention to. So being able to unravel, that person had permission just to take the ball of string and unravel it. That alone, many would say that alone gave them relief, gave them a sense of, I can actually just relax now because I had the opportunity to unravel where the whole elements of this, and now I know it's this, and right now I can't do that right now, or maybe that's something I need to start. So it made something seem, this make sense, Ian? Like a super big ball of string, and then all of a sudden you realize it's not as big as I thought it was because I got a chance to, take the string and unravel it.
I've used a similar metaphor before, but usually sometimes in a ball of string like that, there's not two ends. There's many different threads that get pulled. So as a coach, I'm trying to hold space for all the threads, and I might just make little bullet point notes on the threads that are there. And then once they've kind of unraveled their ball a little bit, you can ask them, okay, so what is it that you want to work on? Was it one of these threads? And if they'll often say, I don't even know what I said. And I'll just give them the 5 bullet points or whatever that they gave me. And they're like, oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one I want to work on today. So let them unravel it and let them decide where they want to go. And that's, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on thoughts are like a bad neighborhood, never go there alone.
I think, just what you described, Ian, we all are in that space. It's a normal way of making sense of things. And our thoughts are very, very powerful. They our thoughts show us what we pay attention to. Like I'm going to look now and I'm going to see the color of this new car that I bought, which is a really cool color. And I'm going to see it a whole bunch of times now because now in my head is that color of that car. It is your thoughts influence what you pay attention to. So allowing you to notice your thoughts, being able to think, I'm curious about why I'm paying attention to that, and what this is a really good practice for you to do with yourself. And it can support you in discerning what's right for you.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I would add is trying to find somebody that you are comfortable with who can help hold that space for you. And even if they're not necessarily a coach by nature, ask them if they'd be okay just listening so you can get the thoughts out of your head. Just to give you a space to unload it. And then you decide if you want to pick up that string or the thread or the whatever it is that you want to deal with later, just to get the thoughts out. It's when they stay in there recycled with your own questions that are the same questions, it can get pretty spirally in there. So find someone you can talk to, and and if you don't have anybody, I would write this stuff out on a piece of paper. It's another way to get it out of your head and into a visual format, and then read it back to yourself and try to see if you can maybe either ask yourself, is that an assessment? Is that true? Do I really feel that? And maybe is there somebody else I want to talk to about what's going on now that I've seen the stuff that's in my head?
Talk to yourself. Now I'm learning. I walk around the house and I'm by myself. Great conversation. Letting it get out and giving it language would be to top off what you're just saying. 100%. Like, give it a voice. Let it out.
Awesome.
Cool.
So we'll be back next week at 10 a.m. ish. Top left-hand corner of the screen is a QR code for our coaching webpage workshops. We still have to fill in some of the information there, but we're doing this bit by bit and getting things together. So if you're interested and want to hang out with us and dive a little deeper into a practice, that's where that information will reside. So until next time, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.